Welcome to Sex Ed with DB. I'm your host, DB. Let's get into it. Here are my top 3 favorite things about Uberlube. Number 1, it makes sex feel so much better. Simple as that. Number 2, it's great for sensitive skin and it's doctor recommended. And number 3, it doesn't stain my sheets or my clothes. Just a little soap and water and you're good. If you're ready for smoother, longer lasting pleasure, head to uberlube.com and use code SEXEDWITHDB for 10% off. Looking to explore your pleasure in a supportive, judgment-free way? Lion's Den is the place I go when I want to try something new. Whether that's a beginner toy, a kinky upgrade, or just a little something to spice things up. They've got 50 plus stores across the US, a massive online shop, and expert staff to help you feel confident every step of the way. Head to lionsden.com and use code SEXEDWITHDB for 15% off in-store or online. Go explore. You deserve it. What if using a magic wand every day could actually improve your health? I ran a 21-day masturbation experiment to find out, and the results were so powerful we turned it into a full-blown scientific study. Over 1,000 people with vulvas joined to measure the impact of daily magic wand use on pleasure, stress, sleep, confidence, relationship connectivity, and more. I'll tell you something right now. The effects go way beyond amazing orgasms. Want to see what we found? Head to magicwandstudy.com to check out the study that's redefining sexual wellness. Do you get awful period cramps like I do? You are not alone. About 30% of menstruating people experience pain so severe it disrupts their daily lives, and yet we still know shockingly little about where that pain comes from or how to treat it. On the podcast Cramped, my friend and host Kate Helen Downey shares her story of living with death cramps for over 20 years. Pain so intense it sent her to the ER, made her pass out, and left her with no answers. Until now. And I just have to say, this podcast is incredible. It is so well done, it's smart, it's powerful, and it's honestly very long overdue. In season 1, Kate finally got a diagnosis, a treatment plan, and real clarity about the science behind period pain. Now in season 1.5, she's answering listeners' questions and talking to the experts we all should have access to. If you've ever felt dismissed, misdiagnosed, or just incredibly over being told to, quote, just take Advil, Cramped is the podcast for you. Listen to Cramped wherever you get your podcasts. Hey everyone, welcome back. DB here, your favorite sex educator and pleasure expert, and today we're talking about cannabis and sex. Now, maybe you've heard people say that weed makes sex amazing, or maybe you've tried it and thought, was that hotter than usual, or was I just way too invested in the way my partner's hair smelled because I was super high and it smelled so good? Either way, there's a lot of hype and a lot of myths around getting high and getting it on. So today we are breaking down what the science actually says as usual. We'll talk about how cannabis might affect desire, arousal, and orgasm, why dose matters more than you think, and the not so fun side effects that you should know before you try it. We'll even dig into what researchers have discovered about weed's role in pain reduction and sexual satisfaction. And if you've ever wondered whether cannabis could take your bedroom game higher, or if it's just smoke and mirrors, oh, sorry, it's such a bad pun, but it's so good. You're in the right place. So first up, are people who use weed really having more sex? What do the data show? Back in 2017, researchers at Stanford looked at over 50,000 Americans and found something kind of interesting. Daily cannabis users reported having more sex than non-users. Women went from about 6 times a month to 7.1, and men went from 5.6 to 6.9. Now, before we start just kind of handing out blunts as relationship therapy, here's the thing. This is self-reported. It's not proof that weed causes more sex. It's just that people who use it tend to say that they have more sex. Could be the weed, could be that people who are more open to cannabis are also open to other sexual activities. Hard to say, but interesting nonetheless. And that leads us nicely into this pleasure piece, because even if frequency isn't directly caused by cannabis, plenty of people swear that it changes how sex feels. In a 2023 study with around 800 people, over 70% said that weed made sex better, more desire, more intense orgasms, and touch that felt off the charts good. Let me repeat that. 800 people were in this study. Over 70% said that weed made sex better. So fascinating. And here's the breakdown. Cannabis interacts with your brain's endocannabinoid system, say that 5 times fast, which helps regulate mood, arousal, and sensory perception. So that means that textures can feel softer or warmer. Music can sound richer. And yes, your partner's skin can feel amazing and your skin can feel amazing. But it's not universal. For some people, especially at higher doses, cannabis can bring on distraction, paranoia, or just a sudden urge to take a nap mid foreplay. So the quote unquote better sex effect isn't a guarantee, but it's very much a your mileage may vary kind of situation, depending on who you are and how it impacts your brain system. Now, here's where things get really interesting, especially for folks who have struggled with pain during sex or difficulty reaching orgasm. A 2025 review found that women who use cannabis right before sex reported better orgasms, less pain, and higher satisfaction. In one sexual medicine study, women with orgasm dysfunction saw satisfaction jump from 44% to 86% with pre sex cannabis use. Pretty huge jump. But remember, these are surveys, so we're looking at perceived improvements, not a lab measured orgasm meter. But still, it suggests that cannabis can be a useful tool for some people, particularly in reducing anxiety or pain that's been holding them back. Now, of course, as with most things in life, dose really matters. So let's get into that a little bit. Science shows that cannabis has a biphasic effect. Low to moderate doses can boost arousal, orgasms, and libido, but crank that dose too high, it can actually have the opposite effect. Here's why. Low doses can enhance dopamine and lower inhibitions, which obviously helps with pleasure, connection, etc. But high doses can slow down motor skills, muddy your focus, and turn that passion moment into, wait, what were we doing again? So think of it kind of like wine. Like 1 glass might you feel loose and connected, 4 glasses, maybe you're done for the night. Now we got to talk about the less sexy side of science, heavy or long-term cannabis use. That has been linked to erectile dysfunction in some men, possible hormone changes, and reduced sperm quality. Some studies show no effect. Others even hint at benefits for certain men with the sexual dysfunction. But if you're trying to conceive, most experts say to limit or avoid THC to be safe. And then there's the consent factor. Cannabis, like alcohol, can cloud judgment, slow speech, or make it harder to read body language. So that means conversations around consent definitely need to happen before you're high, and consent during sex should be clear, verbal, and enthusiastic. So here's the takeaway. Cannabis can enhance pleasure, relaxation, and sensation for some people, especially at lower doses and when anxiety is a barrier. But it's not one size fits all, and it's definitely not a replacement for good communication and connection. If you're curious to try it, start low, check in with your body, talk to your partner about what's working and what's not. And remember, no matter what the plant does, the real magic is in how you connect with the person that you're with. That is your crash course on cannabis and coitus. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week. Love y'all.